Hi everyone, I'm Sykes.
And it's Jip Jack on the attack.
And we're the hosts of the Anukai Tree here on Anchor FM.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here's why.
It's totally free.
The creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to all the streaming platforms, so you can be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more.
You can make coin from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And don't forget to listen to us here on anchor.fm/Anukai.
ANVKAI. Hey, ANVKAI.
Come sit with us.
ANVKAI. ANVKAI. Hey.
Blog Talk Radio.
Yo! Hello, everyone. And I am Mr. Sykes. I am your producer extraordinaire, and welcome to the Anukai Tree. And thank you for sitting with us. And I am here with your illustrious, wonderful, marvelous host, Jip on the attack. Wow. And we're doing a special episode tonight. Damn it. I'm trying to do it on Facebook Live as well. Having a few difficulties. So for those of you that are waiting for us to join us on Facebook, I'm gonna get that together in a few seconds. But I just wanted to. The intention of this episode was to reach as many people as possible with this live. So we're talking about the coronavirus pandemic and really how it's affecting us all, especially as Black people and Black LGBTQAI plus people. And I really wanted to give a space and an opportunity for people to share their thoughts, feelings, and opinions about that. Jack, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to share about the intention of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much was it. Just we want to get you guys empowered and not have you guys feel like, there's nothing you can do, or, suddenly, like, your trust in the government is waning because they really aren't doing all of the things that they should be doing. And, now that your faith in the government is finally where it should be, that, you're freaking out. We want to make sure you're not freaking out. We want to make sure you're just, like, out here able to survive and make sure that yourself and your loved ones are in the best possible position.
Gonna have to give us a few seconds to just I think we just might have to reset on Facebook Live. And I think I just might have to start the OBS over file. But go continue.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are scared at the very fact that they're quarantining places, having people, in their homes. They closed schools in New York, which, if you're from New York, you know that there could be a meteor shower happening outside. And the entire block could be covered in rocks falling from space. And they would still make our kids go to school. But so I know that worried a lot of people, just the fact that they were like, oh, my God, they're closing schools in New York. This is really serious. And it is serious. You shouldn't, anytime there's a pandemic or just an illness that, a government wasn't expecting, or at least claims to not have been expecting, you should take it seriously.
And we're finally here on Facebook Live. Jack cannot be on camera, so I'm going to be using this little Jack figurine that I've created to show you whenever he's speaking and I'm not speaking. But, again, the intention of this episode was to reach as many people as possible, so we're doing a cross-platform podcast tonight. So Jack can't be here because of spiritual reasons. And we're going to use this lovely little Jack to show when he's talking. So thank you guys for joining in. We got some people here on the live. All right, yeah. So let's just get into it. What do you want to talk about first?
I want to do my best to, at least at first, break the fear that you might be feeling. And I know information is the best thing that, the best thing for that. But let's just take a second to take a couple of deep breaths, breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in, and breathe out. Okay. So, that being done, hopefully you
you're going to keep track of the comments with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That being done, we can't hear. Can't hear anything, Danny?
Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, all right, the mic was off. Okay. Sorry. All right, so again, we're doing a cross-platform podcast tonight. Jack can't be on camera because of spiritual reasons, so this is our Jack for tonight. So when you hear him speaking, this is the Jack on the attack for tonight. My lovely little figurine that I've created. So let's start again.
I think you still have an audio to say. I can't hear you.
Wait, did it? Okay, it should be. Okay, hopefully, the audio issues have stopped now. Should I reiterate that again?
Okay, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna have to edit the shit out of this. So Jack can't be on camera because of spiritual reasons. So this is gonna be our standing Jack for tonight. So whenever Jack is speaking, this is what we're gonna use to represent him. And you can watch us here on Facebook Live or on Blog Talk Radio / the Anukai Tree. We have a call-in number for tonight that is not showing up on screen, but that call-in number is 914-205-5458. And if you want to join us tonight, okay, never mind. If you want to join us tonight live, add your thoughts, questions, and opinions, you are more than welcome to call in to our show. But let's keep going. So quarantine special. We want to alleviate people's fears, give people a chance to speak about their thoughts about it, give some of our thoughts and opinions about it, what we're going to do in this quarantine situation. As of noon today, 8 p.m. tonight, New York is shut down, pretty much.
The tri-state area.
The tri-state area, pretty much. And we're just going to talk about that and come from a spiritual aspect like we do always on the New Country. Follow us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, like our messages before, anywhere where podcasts are available.
Yep. Okay, so again, we want to alleviate some fear that you might be having, so let's take in a deep breath for like 10 seconds. 1. And then hold it a little bit. Let it out. Okay. So here is the thing. A pandemic is a pandemic. Like, the shits are real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's a lot of people that are getting sick. We, you know, have been blessed to understand that the death toll is not that high. But any death toll is a toll. So you must take it seriously. That doesn't mean that you should be afraid or panicking. You definitely shouldn't be buying up all the toilet paper. You definitely shouldn't be buying up all the hand sanitizer. The best thing that we can do during this situation, besides what is actually being done in terms of distancing ourselves from each other and things of that nature, is holding each other close in other ways. Making sure that there are supplies left for other people. Making sure, because at the end of the day, if this person gets sick and gets so sick that they can't do anything to get better, and they don't properly quarantine themselves and they have to find themselves out in the street trying to find resources, and they can't go to a hospital or whatever have you, you have no idea what goes on in people's lives or what's happening with people, you just give the virus that much more room to grow in that person, which then gives it that much more room to grow within the environment that that person interacts in. So you want that person to be able to disinfect. You want them to be able to wash their hands. You want them to be able to eat so that they can, you know, that their antibodies and things of that nature have the energy to do the things necessary to fight off the illness and et cetera. You want to hold each other close in a financial way. If you have the ability to help somebody, donate to people that you know are, you know, financially displaced at the moment. Like, there are tons of after-school teachers that, you know, their companies are not able to supply them with any funds for the foreseeable future and the foreseeable quarantine future. There are artists who literally just got their Broadway debut and now Broadway is shut down. So all of that is done. People, you know what I'm saying, have jobs as personal trainers. You know, there's only so much you can do remotely online. Yeah, might be holding a class that they can pay for this and the third, but, you know, send them a little something. Send them a $20 knowing that they don't have anything else but that class that they can put online to be able to make money and still remain isolated themselves. Just hold each other close in your prayers. Be as empathetic as possible, and we can get through this. It is a blessing to see that there are some GoFundMes out there for LGBT and Black queer people. It was very sweet of you guys to donate to me and my household and Pat and his household. That, you know, we were concerned about the fact that I'm not a salaried employee, therefore there's no money guaranteed me during this time. It really warmed my heart that you guys really came together as a community to do what y'all could for me in that regard. And it's important that it be done. And besides literally needing it myself, I just wanted it to be known that, like, some of you might need to let go of your pride and go on Facebook and ask people to, you know, have you to send you Cash App. It's okay if you need help, and if people have it to help, they will help.
And this is what we want to do. We want to extend people resources with this podcast. So, like, people that listen to this podcast can connect with other people in the tri-state and beyond. You know, we have listeners all over the world and all over the country. So we really want to, people in the comments, people on our Facebook Live chat right now, people that are listening to this, like, link up with other people that, you know, listen to this podcast and see if you can be a resource for them. We have a lot of mental health workers. We have a lot of social workers and sort of clinicians and people that work in public service that can be resources. Like, personally, from being in education, mad teachers that can offer, like, child care services. So let's be a service to each other. Let's do this the African way. And for people asking why Jack is on a stick, is because he can't be live on camera right now for spiritual reasons. So this little thing is going to represent Jack. I'm here. We're doing it on Facebook Live this way also to just send the platform to as many of our, like, followers and friends as possible. Like, we know all of you don't listen to our podcast, which you should. blogtalkradio.com.
.com/Anukai, ANVKAI.
It's right here on the screen. So just go there. And we're also available wherever podcasts are available. So if you're not listening to our podcast, we talk about a lot of things, go real deep, take that deep dive every week. There's always great content. Like, if you don't have any premium streaming services, we're on YouTube. I upload the episodes to YouTube every week. So check us out on YouTube. Just search Anukai Tree, and you're going to find it.
So, yeah, and besides being a resource, if you are in need of resources, again, let go of that pride and ask. Make yourself known. Our grandmothers used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed, and I swear for God, it's a lesson that I've had to learn myself. I'm like, y'all don't know how hard it was to make that post. This shit's not easy. I come from Claudia Glover, who don't ask nobody for shit. Okay, so it's not easy to ask for help in a way that doesn't also offer up something. But sometimes you literally need something for quote unquote nothing, and hope that you've sowed enough love into people that they don't mind sowing finances into you because of the love you sowed into them. And it's that simple. So let your love be a currency right now, while the entire world tries its best to figure out what the hell we need to do in the wake of this virus. All right. Let's get into the next thing.
Let's talk about, because I know, like, niggas out here listening really only, like, want to know about the money. How could this potentially affect our money? Like, let's talk about the financial aspect. I'm still getting used to the camera, like, everything's opposite. How could this impact our day-to-day, especially with so many cities and municipalities shutting down in response to this virus? And that, first of all, begins with, I want to say, we don't have a national healthcare system. Our insurance and our healthcare is privatized. There are private hospitals. There are private insurances and privatized pharmaceutical industries in this country. So, like, medicine is big business in America. And so we weren't really set up to deal with, from a governmental place, response to a pandemic or an epidemic. Like, if you even look at the response to AIDS and HIV in the early 80s, the government didn't get into the game until sort of like the mid-'80s, when this emerged in sort of like the very early 80s, like 1981, 1982. We started getting cases of AIDS and HIV particularly, and the government started to move about 5 or 10 years, like really 5 or 6 years later. Okay, 5 or 6 years later.
So shout out to M. Nahad. What's going on, man? I haven't seen Evan forever.
But yeah, Jack can't be on camera because of spiritual reasons, so this stick is Jack.
Yeah, I mean, like, everything Bay just said is absolute fact. If literally there was a greater sense of humanitarianism as it pertains to healthcare, this would be less of an issue for this country. You know, we, as people in the first world, with, you know, access to levels of cleanliness and levels of, you know, just not having to encounter dirt or having to encounter nature in a way that doesn't give us so much access to certain germs. If we could also have a strong healthcare system, we probably wouldn't have seen any infections.
China was able to build a multi-wing hospital in 7 days because of the way their infrastructure works. There are European countries that do have national health care. Italy has been a terrible example of how national health care works because Italy has not been prospering financially, so their national health care system is sort of shit. But if you look at countries like Canada and the UK, like they've had like a great response because of the national health care system. They don't have to ask the private sector to join with them in order to create an emergency response system. Like that adds more time to an already like complicated bureaucracy. And as someone who's worked in public education for their entire adult life, like I know the thick of the bureaucracy. Like I've worked as a teaching assistant. I became a reading specialist. I'm a paraprofessional. I've worked as a paraprofessional representative for the United Federation of Teachers. I was a district rep. So I know what goes on in the bureaucracy at like very intense levels. And like to respond to something like this, like the red tape is still there. Like you can't just like say fuck the red tape.
Right.
At moments like these. Because it exists. And it exists to keep structures and things in place. We gave our annual yearly reading at our holiday special podcast. If you haven't checked that out, you should look that up when you look up the new Tree. But we definitely predicted a recession. And because I knew that I had a feeling that New York City public schools was going to be the last to close only because New York is a major financial center of this country. And I know that a lot of people that live in New York and work in New York, regardless of their sort of income status, send their children to public schools. So I knew that teachers in New York City were going to be the sacrificial lamb to this because if you close schools, you could trigger basically a depression in the stock market because the workers in New York City will have no place to put their children, so they're going to have to take off in order to provide, like, child care to their own children, like, proving that, like, government views teachers as babysitters, pretty much. Because if the workers have no place to put their children, like, our system is designed in an industrial model where people were factory workers, we kind of still are, in a sense, that if you let the teachers off, it could very well trigger financial turmoil as far as the stock market is concerned. But as we saw Friday and over the weekend, the federal government lowered interest rates to about 0 to sort of preempt that. And when that happened, I knew that we were going to be able to close down schools on a nationwide level because that in essence, gave the U.S. financial market and all of capitalism a buffer to rise off, but that buffer is going to run out. Like it's sort of like a gradient cylinder with a hole in it. Like they filled it up to the top by cutting interest rates to 0, but that's slowly going to drain because we're still pretty much conducting business as usual.
Right.
People still have bills.
And this is the thing, like we should be writing our landlords, writing our banks, writing our, district reps, writing our governors, writing our senators, and all of that saying, hey, so like it's cute. The idea that, some people's jobs are awarding them funding, saying some after-school programs, per se, I work in the after-school sector. Some after-school programs are providing money as though the job is indeed being done up until March 31st and are figuring it out from if something happens that we have to stay out after that. Some are offering a basic stipend. Others are literally trying to get their people to figure out what grants and low interest to no interest loans they can help support their teaching artists and things of that nature with. And there's just a lot of different things happening to try to supplement this. But the answer, and I don't care what anybody says, very simply could be shut it all down. And what I mean by that is, like, there's no reason that a government that can just throw $1.5 trillion into something that didn't even actually help the situation.
And can I explain that?
Yeah.
Like, that's the stop. Basically, during the beginning of last week, the federal government, Congress voted on to inject, $1.5 trillion into Wall Street in order to prevent, like, a NASDAQ crash. Like, the Dow Jones have managed to stay kind of afloat with some pretty major dips, but the Dow Jones is local, like, whereas the NASDAQ is international. So, like, we can't let our currency go to shit over this shit. So they injected $1.5 trillion into the NASDAQ, and it disappeared in under a half an hour.
Like, I want to say 10 minutes, yo. Like, we watched this shit disappear in no time. So, like, with that being said,
because people hoard money, like,
right. So that being said, all of that could go to electricity, to power, right?
Could you put the call in number in the comments, baby? So if people can call in, that number is 914-205-5458. If you have any experts, anybody in the medical field, anybody in the financial field that wants to add to this.
So end of the day, they could keep energy on without us having to pay for it as long as this needs to be had. Mortgages could be frozen, therefore rents could be frozen. Taxes for those mortgages could also be frozen so that landlords don't feel the need to still charge people rent because of the taxes that they still have to pay. Essentially money could be frozen. We have the infrastructure for that. Money isn't real enough to act as though that's not possible, right? However, what they're going to do is still pay out as much as they feel is necessary or as much as they feel is possible to pay out up until the point that they are like, oh, we can't pay civilians. Up until the point where they feel like they can't pay civilians anymore. So that being said, you've got to realize that what you should do financially is stack red. Call everybody that needs to be called. Again, call your landlord, figure out what your phone company is doing. T-Mobile is offering free data for, 60 days?
Mm-hmm. T-Mobile, wow. T-Mobile, Verizon, all the they're all the same companies in there, are all offering like a 60-day free data abatement. To
Well, we also still hear us on the podcast.
I'm gonna check everything right now. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we're still alive. This episode is going to be crazy, but I don't care because this is some real shit that we need to do right now. This is like a surprise episode. Yeah, so like basically like if you have a major phone carrier, like you don't have to worry about like paying your bill on time for the next 60 days. They haven't like, and that just includes data, but like data and phone services all wrapped into one, so I'm assuming that means your phone plan as well. Comcast is also offering the same 60-day kind of situation to keep people connected. I don't know what that means for other cable carriers. We'll see in the days coming forth because our government is definitely going to have to adjust because nobody's making money right now. Like the workers aren't making money.
The workers are not making money. So end of the day, and again, what that sounds like for T-Mobile is not that they're letting you have these 60 days for free. You still got to pay them. So you got to figure out ways to make money so that you can, and again, pay off a little bit at a time if you can. During the 60 days, you make $80 a day because you figured out how to, do something. Again, let's go the personal training route. You're a personal trainer, and you do in $10 an online class, a person for your online class. You got 8 people that show up. That's $80 a day. You need to put 10 of those dollars into your phone bill, like literally every day. Literally, otherwise you're just gonna get caught up. We don't live in a society or even a time where money is equal to, like, money coming in is equal to how much money needs to go out, to the point where you can actually just like hold on to that $10 and accumulate it and stack that. Nope. If you were still getting paid from your regular job and you did that, you could stack that. Feel me? But that's not going to last long. If you are getting paid from your regular job, they're not going to do that. They close the school. They might close school for the rest of the school year. You think that an after-school program is going to pay these after-school teachers throughout the rest of the school year and not work? No, that's not happening.
Well, I leave nothing to the privy of capitalism, because capitalism is a white man's invention. Well, for the most part, like current as we see capitalism today. I'll say that. Anyway, not-for-profits get a certain amount of money allocated for payroll, like through the grants that they receive, so they may just have to pay that money out whether or not anyone is working, just so they don't end up in a fucked up tax situation the following year.
And start looking like a
because they've given no tax. Like our tax. Oh God, taxes like next year.
Oh my God.
If they don't come up with some shit, it's going to be crazy for everybody, even the super rich. So even if you're one of these billionaires not really worried about your cash flow, like your tax situation, they're going to have to come for you. And we don't believe in the American electoral process, but I pray, vote for Bernie, y'all. He our only chance. Like, even if we get like a little, like, he's going to at least, and this is all I can hope from white supremacy, is give us some relief. It's like if he eliminates student loan debt, like fixes the tax situation in favor of the working class, that'll at least give us some brevity to what's happening now. If not, like if it's another 4 years of Trump, which is going to turn into a dictatorship, like I doubt they'll even hold an election this year. Like if that, like there's going to be a lot of tears and broken hearts in November, some way, somehow. We predicted that as well in our holiday special.
I do too, Kerwin. Kerwin said he feels that the election is going to get canceled. It's quite possible.
And if we end up in a Trump dictatorship, we fucked.
And we told you so at the same time. Again, if you were listening to our podcast, you would have heard that we told you so about most of the shit that's happening now. We didn't necessarily foresee an illness, but we knew that there would be a ridiculous financial hit happening around now and might last up until the summer. We said that shit. So, that being said, do your best to prepare. You know what I'm saying? We could have did better to prepare as well, but now that we're in it, there's still preparations to be made. Again, stack whatever paper you can. Excuse me, help each other out. You know what I'm saying? You know somebody's not, you know what I'm saying? You know somebody is not eating. You got something in your house and they don't live too far, and y'all have realized that neither of y'all are sick, and hopefully one of y'all drives. Take the trip to somebody's house and be like, here's a plate. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be supporting each other. Literally, if we don't have each other right now, we don't have nothing. And there are people out there doing it. There are folks coming together. There are folks making sure that the underprivileged are getting something. And that's all people need right now. Is
donate to Black Hammer, y'all. Like blackhammer.org. Put that up in the comments.
They're taking necessary precautions to make sure that the coronavirus isn't affecting them before they get back on their food drive. So, and such of that nature, as their support, they are on it. Otherwise, so once they get back together on that, once they're sure that nobody, you know what I'm saying, is infected, once they make sure any infected parties are properly quarantined and however system that they have set up,
I'm sure
they will be right back at the
And they have chapters all over the country and on the continent, like as Africa as well. They opened up a new chapter in Nigeria. We will be joining soon, like as soon as our points are in place. And I know Ghazi probably will listen to this eventually be like, well, you don't have to do that. But we want to come into the organization with something more than just our mind.
Right. Yeah. So again, call your mom if you know what I'm saying, if she's here. Take it. Get the elderly are out here freaking out. I was just at
stay at your granny house.
I was just at the pharmacy a second ago, and when I tell you, old folk are freaking out, and I mean to be where they are in their age anyway, and see what they see coming, and then have this to contend with, it's fucking scary. So make sure that your older people are your elders are taken care of and sought after in some regard, at least emotionally, because you don't want to be afraid at that age. You ain't grow to be 60 plus to just be afraid. You ain't go through 60 plus years of life on this bitch to get to a point of being afraid. So just check in on them, and if they acting like they're not scared, just make sure they're not scared. A high morale is always indicator of whether or not, you know what I'm saying, your immune system will follow. Literally, you are the universe to yourselves. If the universe itself is not feeling up to the challenge of dealing with a virus or dealing with anything, the inhabitants of said universe will follow suit.
Yes.
So be as upbeat about it as you possibly can. I'm definitely a person that's very sensitive about certain jokes and things of that nature, but when it comes to these coronavirus memes and things of that nature, enjoy them because end of the except for that one. That shit kills me. I can't stand the internet for that one. But yeah, just make sure that you are still having fun. Make sure that you are not bugging out over this.
And like,
You just asked the dear about this list.
Okay. I also want to say, like, we're going to try to do, because I have little Jack right now, like, because we're home as well, like, do these lives more frequently, and, like, maybe we'll just do some funny shit.
Indeed.
Just to, like, entertain y'all. We need to lift each other up. Continue, like, the gyms are closing in the tri-state, so New York, New Jersey, Connecticut as of 8 p.m., same thing in Cali, same thing in Texas. So, like, all our major cities, like, continue to exercise. There's people out there that are doing online yoga classes, Retro Fitness, Planet Fitness, are doing exercise classes, not yoga, sorry. And also, like, our local people like Leo Rising. So if you don't follow him, make sure you follow him on Facebook. Leo Rising Rajan. Write that in the thing.
Sidebar, I'll tag him. Sidebar, well, not sidebar, just to mention a comment. Kershaw said that she noticed that there was a supermarket somewhere had an elderly only hour. And that is beautiful. You, as a person that doesn't own a supermarket, cannot necessarily make your supermarket near you, your local supermarket, do that. What you can do is let the elderly person skip you in line. What you can do is if you see that this elderly person is missing something in their cart, like, hey, do you have everything that you need in your cart? You missing toilet paper and you got four packets of toilet paper, give them one. You see that they don't got no ginger in their situation, like, hey, Granny, you forgot the ginger. Give them some ginger. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure that they
help them carry those bags to the car.
You know what I'm saying? Just like really, like, this is the time where, like, respect your elders have to go to the next degree because, I mean, some people are a little jaded and they're like, well, they dying anyway, and that's like,
They still got wisdom again.
Right. If the virus is affecting them the worst, you want them to get the virus the least. You do not want them to have the virus. So you want to set them up in a way that means that they're not getting infected, because also it's harder for them to get to the hospital. They have to go through mad shit even just to get into an ambulance. It's harder to lift them. It's harder to everything with older people. So let's understand that, help them out, and try to keep them as healthy as possible. It will keep you healthy. Just having some of the comments. Kevin said San Francisco just went into full lockdown. Only doctors and grocery stores for the next 3 weeks. Popping. Yes, they locking down us over here too, from New York to Connecticut, locking us down 8 p.m. tonight. Yeah. So remember that the symptoms of the virus are fever, shortness of breath, and coughing. These are things that are also associated with things like the flu. There are certain allergies where your body decides to heat itself up to get rid of that. Sneezing and coughing from allergies as well. This is definitely allergy season happening. So don't be afraid of everybody that calls, but don't stand in front of them. Mm-hmm. Don't judge people that are coughing because you don't know what's going on. Maybe they do got corona. That shit is scary. Don't scare them further.
If you can't buy hand sanitizer, make some. Very simple hand sanitizer recipe. Isopropyl alcohol. Make sure it's above 70%. Get you some aloe if you got a little aloe plant, or a clear, like that's what was not before. Some essential oil, like whatever that is, mix it up with some water, and just make sure you have that spray on hand to clean your hands, especially if you're riding public transportation.
Stay your ass in the house. It's cute to be like, yeah, nobody gonna be on the street. Let's go do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. Stay your ass in the house. It's not worth it. There's nothing outside for you right now. The weather is still going up and down, up and down, up and down. Stay your ass in that temperature-controlled house if you have one. Stay your ass by your space heater or whatever have you. Like, be in the house as much as possible. Read something. Keep your mind stimulated while your body is going to have to take a rest. And really get into yourself, like, who are you?
Listen to our podcast.
Listen to our podcast.
Like, go on Blog Talk Radio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Stitcher, like, wherever you want to, YouTube. And, like, since you got some time for yourself, use this time to spend some time with your babies. Teach your babies. Like, not everything can happen in a classroom. Teach your babies how to cook. Balance your checkbook. Teach them how bills really be out here. Like,
some of y'all, and some of y'all have middle school to high school kids so concerned about how and when they're going to get sex education. Now's the time.
Now's the time.
Do it. Do it now. There's no reason not to. Y'all going to learn today how much teachers do for y'all and how little it has to do only with education. How literally some of your kids' teachers are their entire emotional support. How literally they behave only because their teachers taught them how to behave, etc. So y'all about to learn a real valuable lesson about teachers, and hopefully y'all start rallying for teachers to get paid more money, because honestly, there's no reason why a household that has one licensed teacher that's salary cannot take care of the household by themselves. It's ridiculous that person would need a partner to still be able to take care of a household. I grew up with a teacher. You know what I'm saying? She did the best that she could do. I was a child, so, you know what I'm saying, my needs were not as expensive as adult needs. But nonetheless, like, she could have stood with some more fucking money.
And even me, like, I'm a paraprofessional, I'm a teaching assistant, but I also have I have a full-on bachelor's degree in early childhood education and bilingual education. Like, I'm making the most money. And I'm also a reading specialist. So I'm trained in 3 different reading programs. Like, I teach kids how to read, like, throughout the school. And I literally make the most money that a teacher's assistant can make. And I still can't cover us financially. Like, I literally, like, if I wanted to be a teacher, I could. Quite honestly. But, like, I get to spend time at home. I get to spend time with Boo. I get to, like, do other things. And it doesn't occupy as much as my attention and time because I don't have a lot of the responsibilities that teachers have. But I make the same starting salary as a first-year teacher. And most of the teachers in, like, the tri-state area are first-year teachers because we have such a huge turnaround. I've been doing this for 13 years. So imagine this is, like, your first job at a college. You don't know what the fuck to do. Luckily, like, we're, like, a little bit older and we are aware and we're able to formulate a plan. Like, we have, like, food in the house and things to do. Like, I can make something or another. We need to get more flour, by the way. I'm West Indian. So, but there's a lot of people that are going to be in distress. Like, there's a lot of people that only eat takeout. And that's not going to be financially an option for too much longer. Like, eventually your personal, like, even if they freeze bills, eventually your personal money is going to run out.
Right. So, you know, get into some horticulture as well. You know, they had mentioned hopefully you have an aloe vera plant. You need to be planting something. Something needs to be planted.
I will grow some beans so fast.
Okay. Some beans need to be had. If y'all, you know what I'm saying, I know niggas love growing tomatoes, whether they love tomatoes or not. Grow your ass some tomatoes and help your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Keep some veggies and shit. Like you gotta. It's getting to a point, and I said this in 2008 that this would happen. Not that this would happen now, but that it would happen in our lifetime. We've got to get to a point where we don't need to rely on manufacturers to give us the shit that we need in order to live. You know, I mean, this is a brief key, I guess, but I was also really disgusted with y'all that niggas didn't understand what I meant by y'all so worried about toilet paper as though you can't have a dedicated washcloth. Let's talk about germs, guys. At a particular heat, most germs die at a particular heat. You put soap if you're okay with hand sanitizer and washing your hands. There's nothing wrong with washing a rag that is dedicated specifically for your behind. No, we're not saying to use the same rags that you use on your behind for your face. No, it will be dedicated. Hello, the word dedicated to your ass. Okay? Save your money. You start running out of toilet paper and this shit goes all the way till June. Guess what? Toilet paper is the least of your worries. Your spending money needs to be on the things that you need to eat, the things that you need to remain sanitary, and I believe a turnip is so much more important than some toilet paper. Okay? Like, whatever your turnip is, if that's a lick, if that's a bud, if that's a whatever, make sure that you can get into a place where you feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to act like, you know, oh, like, we need substances. So, yeah, we live in a capitalistic society where all of this shit is about to go down. Niggas need a little bit of a substance to keep themselves together. Stay prayed up, you know? Like, it's a bunch of things that you can do right now to keep yourself together, you know? And really listen to the answers to your prayers and listen to what's being said back, because those are where your answers are specifically for you. Like, okay, you know, we made a joke about our OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all know what OnlyFans and just for fans and et cetera is at this point. You know, no tea, no shade, bitch. If you got to fucking bust it wide open for the OnlyFans to make a coin, you know niggas, you know porn is a turn up. So you know niggas are going to be okay with subscribing to the porn. Do what you got to do. This is not a time for pride. This is a time, and definitely not foolish pride. This is a time to let that shit go, to reach your hand in both directions, in the giving and in the receiving.
Take the hand, yo.
But from your house.
From your house.
And really get into your humanity. Because if this thing takes out a whole bunch of people and there's less of us, that might be great for the planet. But nonetheless, you're going to act like that's great for the planet right next to somebody who just lost their parent or who just lost, you know what I'm saying, whatever. No, you need to be a human being and allow that person their humanness. Okay? Like, literally, this is about to be a lesson in one, self-reflection, and two, humanity, if nothing else. Because if they go to June with all of these shutdowns, with a school shutdown by itself, which is enough displacement in the situation by itself, okay? If they go through June with this, there's going to be a lot disrupted in the economy, period. And you're going to need people. You're going to need relationships. You're going to need kindness. You're going to need togetherness to get us through, period. We can talk all the details about the virus, like what the virus do, how, like what's its infection rate. Okay, yeah, you can be infected for 14 days and not know that you have it. That is the truth. This, that, and the third. We can talk all of that, but is that going to help you as much as really letting you know that a lot of this capitalistic shit that you learned, you have to literally unlearn right the fuck now? You got to unlearn it now. You got to unlearn it now. Help people get to where they need to go. They don't need to be up in your face. But if somebody asks for directions, I was on the train today. This man came up to this chick. She had a mask on and all kinds of shit. And he asked her with a working, very nice-looking cell phone stuck out if he could help her, if she could help him make sure that he's getting off at the right stop. And she was like, oh, no, thank you. Didn't even listen to what he said. He wasn't dirty. He didn't look like a bum. He didn't look sick. His voice wasn't compromised. He didn't cough once. But she's so concerned about her own well-being in a way that's toxic to the situation. And no tea, no shade. I hope she gets that in return, right back. I hope somebody treat her when she's right in her hour of need, like she didn't mean shit and like she's just an inconvenience that might get somebody sick. Because if you treat people like that, don't be surprised when they return to you. Don't be surprised when you can't get nothing. When you in line at the grocery store and you missing, fuck, I don't got no alcohol. I don't got no hand soap. I couldn't even find no Dove. I couldn't even find a fucking Dove bar, a dial bar, Jesus. And you in line complaining about it openly and everybody looking at you like, well, bitch, you came here too late then. The fuck you did too. But a nigga like me, a nigga like the person that helped that man, somebody's going to feel that. Somebody's going to feel that energy in them and be like, you know what, here, you can take this stack of dial. Practice your humanity right now. I don't know how many ways to say it. Practice it right now. That's your best friend. And if you ain't been used to it, if you're not the kind like me and my Elay and me and my besties, where we got each other's back, period, no matter what, I've been, you know what I'm saying, my twin Danny has given me his fucking last and same. Period. My godfather has given me his last and same. Okay? Giving him mine. Period. Because it's like, yo, you need, all right, do I have, can I make life work if I give them everything that they're asking for? Sometimes it's like, damn, I really can only afford to give you half. You do not know the mountains that niggas are able to move with half of what they asked you for. Let them have that half. Practice your humanity. It does not mean that you're going to put yourself out. But definitely don't leave nobody else out. It's not the time for that. Because guess who's not going to do it? Your government. Your government is not going to do it for you. Okay? Y'all so busy upset at socialism. Look at this. We're going to have to be a socialist community, whether our government wants to be socialist or not. We'll have to give a fuck about people. We're going to have to care about people. There's no way that you're going to be able to do this on your own. Every doomsday prepper, one mistake that they make is isolating themselves in the middle of neighborhoods with a bunch of other people. No, honey, you need to come together as a community. You and the whole cul-de-sac need to figure some shit out as a cul-de-sac. You and the whole project complex need to figure out something that y'all can do as a project complex. You and the whole block. If you don't got acres on acres on acres of land where you're going to be able to see a motherfucker coming from miles away, where literally they got to cross miles to get from wherever they at to your house, there's no isolating and taking care of what's inside your house only. We live in apartments. You kidding me? There are people living right upstairs from you. You got to love on them people. Some niggas need sugar so that they can make something not taste terrible because they don't have no other seasonings because they bought all the meat in the world and didn't buy no seasonings. Give them a cup. Like, it's just it's what it is. Y'all got to love on each other today. That's it. That's all I got to say. If niggas want to know all the details or the scarier details about Corona, I don't feel like that's empowering. Go learn that in and of yourself. Absolutely go figure out what the hell, you know what I'm saying, the shit is actually doing once it's in your body and it's actually causing havoc. If that's going to help you, go do that. But at the same time, you still need an EMT worker that's going to get you from point A to point B. You still need an Uber driver when you're not feeling so sick that you need an ambulance to get you to point A to point B. And you have to give a fuck about that Uber driver enough not to get them sick by coughing directly behind their neck. That's all I got to say.
Unless anyone has any questions you have about a little under 4 minutes left before we end our podcast for tonight. Again, that call-in number is 914-205-5458. You can also follow us on Instagram at GypaQ, or make sure you subscribe and follow our podcast at blogtalkradio.com/anukai. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever podcasts are available. You can make sure you listen to our podcast every week. We have new content. We have some great episodes. We really focus on Black empowerment and the uplifting of the LGBTQAI+ community on our podcast. I don't know if there's anything else that we can really say on this subject except, stay up, stay love. We have a tremendous power as people of color unto ourselves to function in and beyond the system because we did it before we were in the system. And we have the capability to do it continually and do it again. As we survive this long, this is not going to break us. It's not.
Period. So if I did have one more thing to say, watch your government. Tune into the C-SPANs of it all. Watch them. Watch them. Watch every move that they make and watch every step that they take. And realize, please, like in the beginning of this, I'm like, some of y'all are coming to the level of faith in your government you need to have, which is none. And I know that it hurts. I'm an Aquarius, so motherfucker, I told you so. And it's going to be okay. You not having faith in your government is actually going to be the thing that saves you. It's not going to kill you. So have faith in your ancestors instead. Have faith in the universe. Have faith in yourself, okay? But have faith in humanity and understand that we are going to be okay. Like Patrick said, we're going to be all right, okay?
And we're going to end this episode. We usually end it with our theme song, but we're going to end it with Diamond by Chaz Giovanni. Make sure you follow him on SoundCloud, Facebook, and Instagram.
I'm a motherfucking diamond.
Give us free.
You know that y'all can't hear it all now.
Give us free.
Hold on.
Give us free.
Your Honor, please instruct the defendant that he cannot disrupt these proceedings with such outbursts.
Give us free.
If we are to have any semblance of order,
Give us free.
With a splinter, dagger face, inner, 10-pin pinner. 10 times Rin Tin Tin and my Skinner. Notebooks, free verse, tote hook, smoke cook, weed hurts, routine for dope nooks. Got the rest of the crannies from my Grammy. Learn the recipe and manners from my mammy. And my